something called materials engineering or materials science is very important in aviation. We need to make sure that our aircraft are going to go through the air quite nicely. So it definitely makes a difference. It makes a difference on how heavy it is. It makes a difference on how smooth it will fly through the air. Lots of things. So you could try it with all sorts of different pieces of paper and see what happens.
Fantastic. Well, I think I've got a bit of a video about this now, so let's have a quick look at that then.
So let's build a wind tunnel. So we've got a few bits and pieces that you should be able to find around the house. So we've got a hairdryer. We have some digital kitchen scales, not bathroom, they might be a bit big. Some cardboard, some clear plastic to make a window. That's quite a hard thing to find. Empty yoghurt pots, make sure you clean them first. A pen, cocktail stick. We need lots of sellotape, scissors, make sure you have an adult with you as well for those, and some mesh. So this mesh can be kind of anything you really want. It can be some lace, or it can be the sticky stuff that we've got here, just something that air can pass through. That's your main thing you need there. And then the main thing you need, a box. So you can have any kind of box you want. This one's quite big, as you can see, so we are going to make it a bit smaller. If you've got a lid, take the lid off, throw it away, you don't need that. Try not to hit anybody with the lid though. Then, if you've got a box like this, where you've got the sides like, oh, can't bend it, like so, you're going to rip those sides off, and you're going to get rid of those. You've got a box with all the sides but one open. So, once you have your box like this, the next thing you're going to do is start marking out where you're going to cut the holes. So, this is where you grab your pen. You're going to mark a nice big window on the front, so it doesn't matter too big, but make sure that this piece of clear plastic can fit over that window. That's the main thing you need to focus on there. On one side, you then need to do another exit square there. Doesn't really matter how big it is, just as long as it's got a good chunk of air can come out of it. And then on the other side, this is when you need your hairdryer. So, I just flip this over. Put your hairdryer on top, draw a circle around your hairdryer. I won't do it now because we haven't got much time today. And then you cut out that circle there. So you've got 3 holes to cut. You've got the circle here, window on the front, box on the side. So for time, here's one I did earlier. We've cut one out. So here's our main wind tunnel here. So we have the main window on the front, big gap here, exit on the, nope, I lie, hairdryer on the side here, and then exit window on the side here. So now the first thing you can do here is create our window. So we take our clear bit of plastic. I will try and do this as best I can in front of the camera. It's a bit awkward. Get your tape, tape it down, as simple as that. Make sure you tape all 4 sides of your window. Try and make it as airtight as you can. You should see there a nice window. So you've got a window here with the plastic, and then inside you've got the tape on each side. So that's your window, that's your first one. Second thing we're going to do is the exit. So in a real wind tunnel, we have big bits of mesh that stop things from flying around so that we don't accidentally hit anything when we've got lots of wind flying through. So this is what this is going to do. It's going to catch anything that may come out of the wind tunnel so we don't lose our wings or lose our aircraft. So this stuff is nice and easy because it's nice and sticky. If I just cut it apart like this. But if you've just got a bit of lace, something like that, you can just stick it on with a bit of sellotape and you could just stick it on underneath there. So we'll just do a couple pieces, make sure it's fully covered. Doesn't have to be perfect. And that's our mesh covered. So that's our exit hole there. So that's where the air is going to come out. And that is our wind tunnel pretty much done. So that's the tunnel. So now we need to work out how we're actually going to test something in the tunnel. So this is where it gets a bit more tricky. So we need our yoghurt pots and we need our cocktail sticks, which I have one here. And you need to jam your cocktail stick into your yoghurt pot. I warn you now, this is not as easy as it looks, and you really have to push hard. So you might want to get a grown-up to help you with this as well as the cutting. So push through and you should be able to get a little yoghurt pot stand with a cocktail stick on top. On top of that, you are then going to put whatever you want to test in your wind tunnel. So that could be a wing, it could be a toy aircraft, it could be anything you want to test in your wind tunnel. So we've got a few that I made earlier to play around with. So we've made them out of card, so it's quite thick but not too thick, so that you've got a bit of structure when you put it on there. And so we'll try it with the wing first. So this wing here. So this looks just like a wing of an aircraft. We'll stick that on. You can do it with tape. It's probably a bit easier with blue tack if you've got it. And you stick it on to the wing. And you stick your cocktail stick in it like so. You may go through the card a little bit, but that's okay. And that is essentially what we're going to put in our wind tunnel to see whether we can generate any lift. We now have our object in the wind tunnel. And this is where our devices come in. So we have our scales here. Make sure you turn them on before you put the wind tunnel over them. And you're going to put your wind tunnel on top. The hairdryer goes in the side. This one obviously isn't plugged in right now, but it will be plugged in when we do our test. And this is essentially what your wind tunnel is. So you can put your test object in on the scales and you'll see a mass. You'll see how heavy that structure is. Put your hairdryer in, turn it on, and then see what happens. Let's give it a go.
So Sophie's now over at our little experts area and she's actually going to get her wind tunnel onto the table and really show us how it works. And hopefully this is all going to go perfect. It is live, so anything can happen. But here we go, Sophie. Yeah, show us what you're doing then, Sophie. You've got a wing there as well.
I do, yes.
Did you actually make the wing just out of a piece of card then?
Yeah, so we have lots of bits of card here. Hundreds of different bits and pieces. Cut them in half so you've got a bit of a smaller wing. You don't want it too big because it won't fit in your box. And then you mount it on top of your yogurt pot like so. So you're kind of just folding it in half, creating that sort of nice curve shape. And that's
Brilliant.
what you could do. But you could do lots of different ones. Like we have a triangle one here to see how that would flow. And we have a slightly flatter, thinner one here as well.
Brilliant.
And we also have a cylinder. And this is one that people don't think would create a lot of lift, but actually out of all of them, probably creates the most lift.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a really good one to try and have a look at home.
I mean, if they'd had wind tunnels back in kind of, the days when they were making these wooden planes and they'd have been able to see what it was like, but it was more experimentation then, I guess.
Yeah, and very dangerous back then. They literally used to getting something they'd build themselves at home and then go, okay, let's take to the skies and see what happens. And yeah, it was very, very dangerous. So
Fantastic.
We're a bit safer now.
So what next then, Sophie? What are we doing next?
So first thing we need to do is make sure we have our scales on, quite a critical step. Put your wing mounted on your yogurt pot and cocktail stick concoction. And then put your wind tunnel on top. Brilliant. Like so.
And obviously the window's there so you can see the scales.
Exactly,
isn't that right?
yes. Yeah,
what
so
I might do then is I might pop over while you're doing that. Come on, let's have a look. I'm going to get over on this side. And then actually we'll be able to see what the reading is
down.
for you. Yeah.
Can you read that there?
I can. It's on 18, I think, at the moment.
Perfect. So we have our wind tunnel in there, ready and mounted.
Okay.
Hairdryer is plugged in, ready to go. And we should, hopefully, if it doesn't take off.
It's not blown off yet, and it's gone down to 14, but it's turned sideways, Sophie. It's turned sideways.
No.
So if we've got time, if we get a couple of little bits of blue tack, have we got some blue tack?
Yeah, we can.
We can
blue
probably
tack
stick
it down.
that on, can't we?
Yes, good point. Let's have a go at that.
So if you get trouble at home and the actual pot starts sliding around on your scales, just pop a couple of little bits of blue tack underneath your pot, and that'll really keep it in place. And then obviously you'll get more of that kind of lift going on, and it's going to. So
there we go. So it might be slightly heavier now.
Let me have a look. 17, 8, it's 18 still, 18. I think, so we're okay there, yeah. I'm knocking all the Lego all over the place here. Sorry about this, guys, in the set.
There we go,
right,
ready?
Let's have a go, yeah. Oh, crikey, it's gone to 0.
Wow,
it's gone to 0, so it's that much lift it's trying to take off. It's literally, and then back to 18 again. That's amazing.
So that is how the principle of flight works.
So you can literally put anything on the toy aeroplanes, anything
Yep, you could put your toy airplane in there, you could put a dinosaur in there, whatever you fancy putting in there and see if it gives you any lift.
Fantastic. And you're using wind tunnels in your work to really test real parts of aircraft, aren't you?
Yes, we do, yeah. We put small parts of the aircraft in, we put models of the aircraft in, or if it's a really big tunnel, you could even put the whole aircraft in.
Wow.
We've put toys in there, we put Action Man in there, and he had his head blown off, so who knows what you could put in your wind tunnel.
And that's what the grill's for at the other end, isn't it? Catch any flying debris, really stops it coming out. Not too bad with the hairdryer, but
a real one goes a bit faster.